Okay, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Never better.
Yeah, right. Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Wade into Wealth. And you may wonder if you're watching this on our new YouTube channel, Wade into Wealth, where we're going to be posting videos and some other content from the podcast and other things. Why are we wearing these pants? Why is Mario Lopez to blame? We're talking about LuLaRoe and the recent documentary that has come out on Amazon Prime, which is fascinating and also terrifying in a way, Eth. And I think, too, what was really the driving motivation for us to get these pants from our mom and sit here looking like two medieval court jesters.
Yeah, I look much better than you, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a shame because you don't get the full effect of us standing up with these, wearing half of a suit and our mother's leggings on the bottom half. But nonetheless, you get the view from us with the table.
Yeah, it's a different feeling.
It is.
You know, these LuLaRoe pants, which were years ago, so probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, were just all the rage. And we know friends that had them. Our mom obviously had some pairs laying around.
Yeah.
But people who made a career out of selling these, and this documentary was fascinating simply because it goes into the world of LuLaRoe, of multi-level marketing schemes, aka pyramid schemes, and the way that the way they work and the impact it's had on people's lives, not always positive. And so we're going to dive into that today and talk about a little about the documentary, but then also how do these things work, and you know, some action items for someone who may be working in MLM or direct selling, as it's called, and go from there. So what were your thoughts on this documentary, which is called Lula Rich?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would say that I found it fascinating as much as it pulled me in with how it was disgusting, how they were running the business, how they were preying on people, the fact that they would say that this is not a pyramid scheme. And in fact, it 100% was a pyramid scheme. I mean, if you look it up, Federal Trade Commission, their website says, you know, certain guidelines for what a pyramid scheme is or things you should be looking for. They make extravagant promises on what you can make.
Mm-hmm.
They emphasize that recruiting more people to sell is how you really make the most money.
Mm-hmm.
Play on your emotions. Use high-pressure sales tactics of if you don't do it now, you're going to lose the opportunity. And when the answer is always just buy more product, those are key examples of the fact that you're operating in a pyramid scheme and not in a true, legal, multi-level marketing scheme. And the interesting thing is that LuLaRoe did literally every single one of those.
They did. And so let's just back up a bit first and explain a little more of so if in case you don't know what LuLaRoe is, these pants, leggings, they were started by a couple, a woman, I can't remember her name. Deanne.
Mark and Deanne
I wasn't a big fan of Deanne and her husband. No, I wasn't.
I don't know. Those were her. That was pretty much her canned answer for everything in the deposition.
So she started this pants company, and her clothing company, I'd say, and was these leggings, dresses that had these outlandish patterns, and started selling them to friends. And then she recruited some other people to sell them, and so people started selling these pants. And you know, not too long ago, these were crazy. People would be using social media, so things like Facebook and Facebook Live, to sell these orders of pants that they got in. And what was interesting is it cost $5,000 to start to be able to sell these pants, to become
that was the minimum, I think.
It was the minimum, right? $5,000 to $10,000, and you would get an order of pants. Now, you had no way to select what you wanted. That was, to me, what was fascinating, and what was really drove kind of this mania around the popularity of these pants is that it was like it was a gamble. It was like a lottery of sorts of what kind of pants you were going to get, what kind of patterns. You had no say, and each was done and said to be done in very limited quantity.
Right.
So people would be unboxing these on Facebook, and people would be commenting, "I want to buy those. I want to buy those." And so for people who started early, there were some people who made a fair amount of money.
Well, if you think about the dynamic of a pyramid, those who start early and are on the top, instead of the idea of it being a trickle-down effect, the whole business is set up for it to be a trickle-up effect, and for the money to keep flowing to everyone who got in early and who started. But in reality, and at the long run, and LuLaRoe was a great example of this, is that a vast majority of the people who get in after all the craze has really been done end up not only not making money, but end up costing them a significant amount of money in the process.
So very quickly, how you would make money, how you would become profitable in this is, I decide I'm going to sell these lovely pants, which they are buttery soft, and I will give credit where credit's due.
Will I wear them again? Probably not. Probably not. But that's beside the point.
But so I decide I'm going to start selling these, and I recruit you, and I recruit Liz, my wife, and mom and dad and my mother and father-in-law and a couple of friends, and get these people to start selling them as well and say, hey, I got these pants. You can make a couple of bucks on the side. LuLaRoe really targeted females. They targeted a lot of females who did not work outside the home.
Specifically stay-at-home
stay-at-home
moms, yeah.
And so every person that would sign up, I get some of that startup fee. Yeah. So you pay $5,000, and mom and dad each pay $5,000, and Liz pays $5,000, and I get a cut of that. And then they go out.
But then furthermore, I go and recruit people, and I get a cut of that. But then you get a cut of that. So it keeps going up, and you can see how you get more and more people, and it makes its way to a pyramid, which is illegal.
It is. And that's where the money's made. The profit in this is not necessarily in the selling of pants.
Which is why it's illegal. Because if it's going to be a legitimate business, the profit has to come from, or your ability to make the money legitimately needs to come from retail sales of the products.
Now, you could profit some from selling the pants, but
that
was not where the money was made, nor was that what the company was presenting is the real and true objective. And so that's where they refer to themselves as direct selling, because it's considered, well, I'm selling directly to a customer or a consumer. But in reality, the majority of the revenue is coming from getting your friends and family to sign up. So what happens? What happens to these buttery soft, silky smooth pants?
Well, eventually they just can't keep up with the large amount of demand, and quality falters.
Quality falters, and
they had to start storing them outside. I mean, you think of outside. What happens outside? It rains.
It rains. They get wet. They get
moldy.
wet.
Then they get, they're baking in the sun. They get moldy. They get ruined. They get, sun prints on them, and the quality goes away. And what happened was, and this is really why we joked that it was Mario Lopez's fault. It wasn't Mario Lopez's fault, but they threw a big party that had Mario Lopez. For those of you who may have grown up in the 90s, you would recognize him as AC Slater from Saved by the Bell. And he showed up and just took pictures with a lot of the people who were there.
It was they would have these very, very elaborate
and extravagant
events, annual events, which, by the way, you were like required to go to if you were at a certain level, and you had to pay your own way. Required to go, pay your own way, and having to be even selling and doing these things while you're there. But they would have these events, and he was a paid celebrity to go. This happens all the time at conferences. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But what happened is
the next day, this was where they were. I mean, I'd say maybe they were in their infancy at this stage.
Right.
It was gaining popularity, but the next day after that extravagant event with Mario Lopez, where it was all over social media, everywhere, the next morning, Monday morning, 11,000 people signed up to start selling LuLaRoe.
And it would snowball from there, and it was to the point where there were hundreds of thousands of people selling these. And so then what starts to happen is what will happen in any one of these types of businesses or schemes is that you start to run out of people to recruit, to sell. So the people that are getting into this late, a couple of years after it had started, while it was very popular, there's nobody left to recruit.
And the more people you have selling means there's a lot less people that you have to sell the material to. And they preyed on these folks, and they also did it based on FOMO, right? Fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Because they wanted you to go on to your social media and show off your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Show off how much money you were making. And they made you do that, where they wanted you to buy these extravagant clothes and show off this jewelry so that you would give off this persona of you can stay at home, you can open up these boxes on Facebook, you can show these really cool buttery soft pants, and they basically sell themselves, and before you know it, you'll have these really nice watches, and you'll be going on these trips, and you'll be taking pictures with Mario Lopez and be at private Kelly Clarkson concerts.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, when it sounds and seems too good to be true,
usually is.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that a couple of things. You talked about the quality really started to suffer of these. Sellers are running out of people to sell to and recruit. At the same time, and this is, you can Google LuLaRoe pant designs and see there were some pretty bad designs that were just positioned in various parts of these pants that it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, you can
just
Google
it. It's there. But the other thing that happened is that the company is, and a lot of these companies do this. LuLaRoe is not the only one. There are essential oils. There are a lot of these various companies, and in just about everything, anything and everything. What they do is they're continually recruiting you, and these companies also needed to now start to avoid some litigation of being considered pyramid schemes, which means they had to really push people to start selling the product to be the primary source of revenue.
Wait a minute. You mean a business, their primary source of revenue needs to be selling their product or service?
Yeah,
That's mind-blowing.
You and I aren't going out and trying to find other friends to be financial advisors.
Mind-blowing.
To find clients. It's not.
Yeah,
it doesn't not how it works.
That's also not attractive. That doesn't sell in the eyes of these companies, because the truth is, to be a true MLM, multi-level marketing company, the individuals, your distributors, your sellers, have to be compensated by what they are selling the product, not by who they're recruiting.
That's how most successful businesses work.
The key difference that when LuLaRoe realized that they had to do that, as litigation started happening, all of a sudden their business changed, their sellers left, because the reality of a multi-level marketing scheme is that when you're in a legitimate one, a strong majority of people make no money or lose money.
So it may be legitimate, but it's not a very good business.
Correct.
So, and what also happened is that these people were being really, really pressured to continue to buy these products.
Well, yeah,
and
if
put
you're
your
not
money
selling,
back
you
in, put your money that you're making. And there were people that were interviewed that were making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. Okay, that's a big chunk of money.
Now, those bonuses were from their recruits that they had,
Right.
which was not a legal form of doing that, but that's what was happening. And the response always was, "Oh, you didn't sell enough." Well, that just means you need more inventory.
Yeah.
And you need new inventory. So buy more.
So what happened is that also a lot of these people who are making money, and I think we'll leave it at this point. Go watch the documentary. It is very interesting. If
It's
you
on
want.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Lula Rich.
Go watch it. You can read about it if you Google it. But what I think we should get to some action items and things.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened that was really unfortunate. One, an overwhelmingly small percentage of people who enter into these kinds of organizations actually make any money. It is an overwhelmingly small percentage. I mean, it is like, I don't know, less than less than 2 or 3%,
Sure, yeah.
significantly.
Yeah.
But even for those people that were making money, they weren't saving anything. They
Yeah.
were putting all of their money back into buying more pants, buying more clothes, there were big cars, SUVs, brand new houses. And that's where a couple of the really sadder stories of people that were interviewed for this documentary, that's where it took a turn, because they weren't able to put money aside. And then when
Right.
things dried up,
Yeah, they'd
the
file for
well was
bankruptcy.
dry.
Yeah.
A lot of these people that were, making $300,000 a year all of a sudden are in bankruptcy, vehicles being repossessed,
Yeah.
home, having to leave homes. And so that's where it was really sobering towards the end. So
Yeah, and it's a case of whether you're doing a multi-level marketing business or it's
any
just
business,
your everyday life.
you're starting a business, you're going out in life, what are some things people can consider or should be aware of if you're going off on your own or starting a business or something
Well,
like that?
the first thing you need to do is you need to know the numbers. You have to know the numbers. Without that, you don't know what you need to do and the actions that you need to take. So, I believe the numbers were it's a $5,000 minimum startup for LuLaRoe. You'd buy the pants, and I may be a little wrong, but I think the numbers are similar to this. You'd buy them for $10 and you would sell them for $25, which meant that every single pair of pants you had a $15 profit on.
Mm-hmm.
But remember that I shouldn't say profit. That was what you had coming back to you, because you don't have profit until you make your $5,000 back. Let's
Right.
be serious about
Right.
that. So in order for you to just get your $5,000 back with $15 for every pair that you sell coming in means you have to sell 333 pairs of pants.
So
That's a lot of pants.
know what your cost is to start and know how many goods or products you need to sell to get to being profitable.
And ask yourself, do I think I can sell 333 pairs of pants?
And what do I need to do that? What is
Right.
your plan for doing that?
Right.
Now, some people did that very well. Another thing you should ask yourself is, maybe you don't have that money. A lot of people didn't have that $5,000 to start the business. So you want to start.
This was the frustrating
Right.
part.
So
watching
how are
that.
how do you raise money, and how do you not raise money for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to start a business, again, plan for it. If you know that you need $5,000 for this startup and you want to get into it, start saving the money for it.
10, 15% of your paycheck automatically going into a separate bank account that you're not touching until it has the money that you need to start.
If you get a tax refund at the end of the year, it's a great way you just got a nice kickstart to save that money. But what you shouldn't do is go on credit cards. Please don't use credit cards for that. You're paying 18, 19, 20, higher than 20% interest rates to borrow that money in a business where when the MLM, the multi-level marketing business, is legitimate, a vast majority of people don't make the money. They don't make any money off of it. So please don't borrow money at incredibly high interest rates to do that.
Don't sell your breast milk.
Right. We're not just pulling that from thin air. That
money.
is from
That
the
was something
documentary.
that happened that people were doing. And that is something obviously you shouldn't do any. But if there's anything that you're asked or being encouraged to do by someone who wants you to go into business with them that doesn't feel right, or that you think, would I ask somebody to do this?
Yeah.
Would I ask somebody to do this? If the answer is no, or if the answer is absolutely not, that's absolutely crazy, then one, you shouldn't do it. And two, I think I would reevaluate whether that business is something I want to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, trust your gut. If you're looking at if this is what I need to do to be involved with this, take a step back. Talk to a friend. Talk to someone that you trust and say, this is what's going on. Does this seem reasonable to you? Because sometimes when we're involved, when we put in $5,000, we're invested in that. And our hope is that everything works out. But the reality is, it's a lot better to cut your losses after $5,000 than to keep buying the inventory that you can't turn and sell, and all of a sudden your $5,000 problem is now a $15,000, $20,000 problem that you have on your hands.
And then what do you do if you've made some money? All right, this is really important, because when you look at small businesses, and I don't care what the business is, there's a lot of risk involved. There is a lot of risk. More businesses fail within the first couple of years than after that point. And so what do you do if you've made some money? If you're profitable, what should you be doing?
Save some money. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you're trying to save up for something. 10, 15, 20% out of what's coming in. Save it. Don't put in. Set yourself a parameter that says, I'm only going to rebuy 50% of the money,
Right.
use 50% of the money I have coming in for inventory, and take the other 50% to pay down your mortgage, save for your future, invest in your kids' education, save it. Not all of, and if every bit and every penny that you have coming in is going back to buy more inventory, you're doing something a little
There's a
wrong.
lot of risk there. There's
Because
a lot of risk.
you need to operate with the idea of, if this goes away tomorrow, what do I have?
Right.
And what did I get from it? So save some of that money.
And plan for and strategize for these things before you have made your investment.
Right.
When you are not emotionally tied into it.
Yep.
That is what's really important. And to be able to say, all right, what if this goes well? What is my plan? How much will I save? How much am I going to allocate towards buying new inventory, towards advertising, towards marketing? And what if this starts to not go well? What is my
Right.
plan if I have not made any money after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years?
How much am I willing to lose?
How much am I willing to, or how much are we, as a lot of these people were taking family and life savings. How much are we willing to put into this? And what are our alternative plans or options if plan A is not working?
And if the startup cost is more than you're willing to lose, you need to seriously consider if that's a path that you really want to take.
Right. And when you see everyone rushing into something,
Yeah.
you have to take a step back. It's that you mentioned that fear of missing out. It's a real thing. And that's where social media can just be, a real suck of time, of emotions, of finances, because these kind of things happen. So,
Yep.
Interesting documentary. And I think there are some good lessons we can take from it and go from there. And now go take these pants off.
Please.
Thanks for being with us. This is Wade into Wealth, and you can find us here anywhere podcasts are found. We're now on YouTube, Wade into Wealth, and on various forms of social media, Wade into Wealth as well. If you liked what you hear or saw, please feel free to leave us a review or subscribe. We'll be back next week in our normal pants and normal clothing, and we appreciate having you with us. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
Excellent.